Hello, this is Paradigm here again, and I'm just going to get right to part one of my story, Satan Cruz. So, this is a true story, and for the most part, it will be accurate. So, let's see here. So I'm living in Santa Cruz. When we moved there when I was the age of about 10, and I made friends quickly, and I had a couple of best friends. And let's see, for now we'll call them, how about Marisol and Kirsten? Okay, so basically Kirsten and I were both around the same age at the time of the seances. So I believe I was almost 12 years old, so she was around 11 or 12 as well. I think she was 11 and a half. And Marisol was 8 years old when I met her, and so now she was probably about 10 years old at the time of this first seance, which took place in her bedroom. Basically, Marisol was considered a troublemaker, and so our other friend Kirsten and I both, we lied to our parents and said we were going to be staying the night at each other's houses, when really we would be staying the night at Marisol's house. And so while we were there sitting in Marisol's bedroom, we were trying to think of a way to make this night special, a night we could all remember. And we were like three best friends together, and we've been such great friends for the past couple of years before this night, when we were trying to think of something memorable to make it more memorable to do. And so I came up with the idea of having a seance. I didn't really know much about seances except for you know, just the few basics, which I did apply to this first seance. So I told Marisol that we needed a candle, and then I told my two best friends that we had to think of somebody to call upon, somebody who had died. At which point Kirsten recommended John Bonham. So John Bonham must have died that year. I think it was in the year of 77. Probably in the summertime, I'm guessing. And so then I was trying to like pretend I was teacher-like, because I had always wanted to be a teacher. And I said, well, how about somebody that either one of us really knows well, or someone we all know of? Well, I'd actually asked her, well, who's John Bonham? And she said, oh, he's the drummer of Led Zeppelin. And that's when I said, well, no, I think it should be somebody we all know of, or someone that one of us knows well. And then she said, well, how about my dead grandmother? And I said, okay. So with the candle in the middle of the three of us, we turned off the lights and held hands. And I called upon Kirsten's grandmother, and I said, Kirsten's grandmother, basically along the line something like this: Kirsten's grandmother, we are calling you into the room. Please enter our world and give us some kind of sign when you get here, whether it be and then I was going to say, oh no, I'm sorry, I said whether it be a knocking, or, and then I was going to think of more signs for the Spirit to give us. But right after I said, you know, give us a sign when you get here, whether it be knocking or, is when we got the sign. And the sign was, well, I remember opening my eyes because it was just instinctual. Like I had to open my eyes, because when I did, the flame of the candle was torch size. And as I was opening my eyes, I remember seeing Marisol and Kirsten's eyes opening at the same time, or being opened. You know, their eyes were definitely open too. I know they saw the flame torch size off of that candle as well. All of our eyes were opened, staring into that flame. And that had been a sign, because through your eyelids, when they're closed, you can see the light of the fire through your eyelids when they're closed. And that was what the Spirit used as a sign to get us to open our eyes and to see the torch that when we all were staring at this huge fire in front of us, it then before our eyes just went back down to regular candle flame size. And so I'm probably going to get cut off before I even finish this first seance, but we'll see what I can do here. So then I thought, basically after that, I thought that they would be waiting like my next direction. And when I looked at my friends one by one, both of their jaws were just like dropped, just dropped, and they were looking at me as if they'd seen a ghost. And then all of a sudden Kirsten said somebody hit the light, and then Marisol jumped up, turned on the light, and she ran upstairs crying for her mother. And then Kirsten, she went to check up on Marisol, and so she ran upstairs and she came back downstairs a couple of minutes later, and she said to me, well, Marisol wants you to leave now and she doesn't want to be your friend anymore. And I said, are you still my friend? And she said yes. And I said, well, you know, what happened in there, like, or, you know, she said that I looked different. And so I said, well, you know, eyebrows can look heavier in candlelight, and faces can look shadier. And she cut me off. She was like, no, 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 no. She said, you looked different. And I said, can you draw a picture? She said, no. I asked her to describe it. She said, no. And then she said, you look scary, different, evil. That's what I remember her saying that night. And I went home to tell my mother, and of course my mother didn't believe me. And, you know, my mother said, well, I believe that you believe, and she tried to tell me maybe it was a trick candle. And I said, well, then why would Marisol be crying? And of course, you know, remember, I wasn't even supposed to be at Marisol's house, and neither was Kirsten. And although I think Kirsten must have stayed there that night. So I guess that's about it. That was the first seance in a nutshell. And stay tuned for seances 2 and 3. Thank you.